Hello everyone. I often hear the question, I need a household sewing machine that can sew everything. And inexpensively. In this video I will try to answer this question, which machine to choose. Somewhere there will be a theory, somewhere a specific answer to the question. So watch the entire video. I am sure it will be interesting. First of all, what would you like to draw attention to? The background. You can pay attention. There is a classic machine. This is an analog of Singer, Pedalka, Butterfly. Well, there are many different names. What is the main point? Many people remember that Singer, that pre-war one, sewed absolutely everything. That is, from silk to an overcoat, burqa and so on. Well, and so, as if understanding that technology can in principle do this, and now, decades later, they are looking for such a machine. Is it really possible to find such technology? Well, most likely not. Why? The thing is that these machines were produced quite a long time ago. Now we will not touch on the history in relation to when they were produced, how they were produced, but I would like to draw attention to what. At the time when the machines were produced, there were certain types of fabrics, actually, like types of threads, and certain tasks that were set for these machines. And at that time, this is the pre-war, post-war time, machines really sewed almost everything that could be sewn. Then came modifications. Zigzag was added to these machines. Later, other developments followed. But what I would like to draw attention to is that over the last few decades, the textile industry has made great strides forward, and the composition of the fabric and everything else has changed. It turns out that these old machines that sewed absolutely everything, they do not sew modern fabric. I answer the first question somewhere. I need a machine to sew absolutely everything at home, like the old machine used to. Now you will not find this for the simple reason that other fabrics, other tasks are set before the members of the technique. Therefore, to buy one machine for absolutely all occasions and for it to work like this for centuries, well, this is unrealistic. Why this is still unrealistic? I think it is not a secret for you that there is such a thing as marketing, there is such a thing as sellers. And there is such a thing as developers. Unfortunately, most companies now produce sewing machines with a much shorter estimated service life. What are we talking about? If earlier, approximately until the 80s 90s, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, there was an approximate estimated service life of about 15 to 20 years. Now, at the moment, at the current time, some manufacturers set the estimated service life of 1 to 3 years on a sewing machine, some set 3 to 5 years. Well, and you naturally understand that that machine, for example, again we return to what was in the past, well, which has already been, figuratively speaking, 100 years or more. And a modern machine, for example, well, in general, for example, a plastic one, it has a much shorter resource. Well, what does this mean for you as a user? First of all, that in principle, it will work much less. This is natural. But why do they write a specific estimated service life at all? In essence, for you as a user, this means a certain margin of strength that the machine can withstand and that the machine can work. For example, if thick fabric is sewn on this machine for a long time and it works, then, all other things being equal, there is such an interesting phrase, all other things being equal, a modern machine will last much less. In some cases, it will not even work out the warranty period, and in the event of a breakdown, the store or service center will simply refuse you in service due to the fact that you violated the warranty rule of operation. That's how things are. This is the point that I would also like to draw attention to. Is Singer really the best company? It was fashionable then. or Husqvarna, or Bernina. In fact, there are a lot of different models, a lot of different manufacturers. And what is important for you to understand, each manufacturer has different lines of sewing machines. Roughly speaking, 4 different wallets. What does it mean? It means that the same manufacturer, in order to make money, and this is absolutely normal, simply produces a machine for different tasks. But just what? The problem of our people. We can even generalize this post-Soviet space somewhere. Let's introduce this formulation. People buy a cheap machine and expect that this branded machine will be cheap. Very heavy loads. And, accordingly, it will work for a very long time. You can sew jeans in a workshop mode. You have to constantly hem it, or, let's say, on the same machine after jeans, immediately sew knitwear like biflex or diving, well, you have to. And with surprise, a person can discover that in this mode the equipment simply does not work. Well, what do you mean it doesn't work? It can either break down or simply not work. Why is that? Again, going back to what they said, this is a certain margin of safety. The second point is some design moments that simply do not allow the machine to work in certain conditions, but again, if you touch on this point deeper, try to explore many old machines, domestic machines. In that they do not sew knitwear, and there are a lot of life hacks so that at least a straight line, not to mention a zigzag or triple elastic zigzag, sews without gaps on old domestic machines. Why is that? At the time this technology was developed, there simply were no such types of fabrics. We are smoothly approaching another point. Is it really that sad? Is it really impossible? Again, yes, indeed. The situation is somewhere very sad, but not sad in fact. In gray because in fact you can choose a lot, but it is important for you to understand several points. The first point, let's say, is one of 3 main nuances that should be paid attention to. Firstly, it is important for you to understand that there are different price segments. At this stage, the concept of a brand is already fading into the background. That is, if earlier it was like this, buy a Jan-Aim, it will be cool. Well, alas, it is not so. Why not? There are already quite a lot of videos in the analysis playlist, which show that the same company has models with completely different mechanics in different price segments. In this case, even the price is not an indicator. It is clear that you cannot open the car when you buy it. It is clear that you are mainly guided by forums, reviews when buying this or that equipment. What is important to understand? There are already several videos on my channel, on channels of other mechanics that help to choose and generally decide on the choice of this or that machine. I will try to briefly drop these points under the video somewhere. What I want to draw attention to. The first point is weight. You yourself understand that the car should weigh. If you take an old domestic one, then more than 10 kilograms are heavier. But many just think that they are difficult to carry. We do not want such equipment, we want light. But everything has its price. The fact that it is light, yes, it is cool, it can be carried. This is promoted by very good marketers, but the other side of the coin of this issue is that such equipment has a very short resource. And it may turn out that you worked a little, put it somewhere on a shelf, in a cabinet, after 2 or 3 months you take it out, start sewing, it does not sew. I recently made a video on the channel. Here is such a plastic machine, which weighs about half a kilogram. Here it is shown what is inside, what is behind this lightweight. So, the first point is weight. The second point is also such an important one when you choose a machine. It is very important to look at the play of the needle bar itself. I will also leave links in the description under the video. I highly recommend watching. There is already a separate playlist with this problem. What is the main point? Any machine you take, in principle, for home use it will be enough for you. The problem begins when you want to sew some specific fabric, like knitwear, diving, thin fabric. What happens? If there is a certain stroke of the needle bar frame, your machine will skip. And this is on new machines, regardless of whether they are horizontal or not. Vertical stocking, double fitting stocking. This is the quality of assembly, quality of machines, and perhaps after viewing the entire playlist on the angle bar frames, I simply advise you to come to the store when you have decided on the machine, the brand, the model, simply. If the stroke is more than half a millimeter, I do not advise you to take such a model. It is better to look for another model or ask to get exactly the same one but with a smaller stroke of the angle bar. That's the point. There are such design moments in the assembly that you can't remove in any way. In fact, what is there is, if you interfere there, it is not a fact that you can fix something, not to mention the fact that it will be you or the mechanic. But the question is different. By interfering with the design of a new machine, you lose the warranty. Well, here you yourself understand that for all time, and the case can be absolutely, as they say, a lottery. The machine may break down during the warranty period, and that's it. The sector is a prize. You will not prove anything to anyone, and it will simply be junk, metal, or, perhaps, you will just get money or repairs. What else would you like to draw attention to? Very many points are now being paid attention to. There is a tendency that there are machines with a horizontal, vertical shuttle. This is such a conditional concept. What would you like to draw attention to? When we talk about a horizontal shuttle, this bobbin insert is meant. It is usually plastic, black. The spool lies horizontally. It is very cool to put things there. Well, or put whatever people call the spool. There is the so-called vertical. This is it. Such a shuttle, which was common on old machines, on seagulls, on padalkas, kohlers, and so on. In fact, this is a rolling shuttle. This is just such a popular name, a vertical shuttle. There is also a double-fitting shuttle or graber. I'll try to find it now. This is such a thing. I hope it is visible. It was installed on varieties, on pfaffs, on many different models. Now this has become widespread in the industrial segment. Well, what is it important for you to understand anyway? If the machine has a rolling shuttle like this, or in this case a vertical shuttle, these machines are more designed for dense medium fabrics. Can they sew knitwear? Well, basically, yes, with the proviso that there is no play in the needle bar. This is also a technical point that is important for you to understand, because not all machines can be adjusted. Some manufacturers generally say that they do not sew knitwear. In fact, they can tell you anything they want, but practice shows that if there is not much play in the corner bar frame, a machine with such a shuttle mechanism can be adjusted and it will sew knitwear perfectly. As for vertical or rather horizontal shuttle, these are machines. They are quieter, they are more sharpened for light medium, and in general they sew knitwear somewhere tightly. Fabrics with tension. Why? Due to the design feature, there is a technical possibility to make less tension with a more uniform stitch. That is, when there is a zigzag or a line, it does not tighten the knitwear. That is, these machines are difficult precisely in that they can sew without skipping, but it is quite difficult to achieve stable lines, especially on some knitted seams. There is a tightening of threads. Machines with these shuttles, they work more stably on these fabrics. Well, now with double-fitting shuttles or with graphers, well, in general, it is quite difficult to find new ones. In some factories, in some brands, there is also a kind of premium segment. Such shuttle devices are still preserved, but most manufacturers either these or these are now using. If I make a short summary, what I want to say in general, before buying a machine, you need to decide in principle what you will work with, that is, what kind of fabric you will mainly sew for. What if you are for home? You take it for some minor repairs and so on. for you it is absolutely not important. You can take any machine, even the cheapest one, it will cope with its tasks. But if you want to work or earn money on the machine, you should approach this issue more seriously. Why? Now these machines are more tailored for certain fabrics. That is, let's say, there are light medium, medium heavy. The same as with industrial machines. They are great, they take everything, but what is the drawback? Let's say if this machine only gives a straight line to other machines. There are already other operations, that is, zigzag machines, there are special machines and so on. Why is that? Because for each fabric, for each task there is its own equipment. And in fact, it is very difficult to choose from a budget option something that is cheap, high quality and sews absolutely everything. At the moment, this is almost impossible. What many people do, they either buy old machines in good condition, come to their senses, or try to choose from new ones, such an optimal option. Of what is possible in these conditions from what is available, choose better. Again, there are already a lot of videos about what contains the pros and cons inside. If you are interested in some model, you can write in the comments either under this or under another video. I will try to guide you. If your equipment has stopped sewing, and for some reason you either cannot call a mechanic, or do not want to do this, or just want to learn how to set up your sewing equipment yourself, I recommend that you look at my page. Links will be in the description either under this video or on the side at the end of the video. So to sum up all of the above, when people say, "What car should I buy?" Without understanding what a person's budget is, without understanding what tasks a person sets, without understanding how and often he will use it, how much he will use it. What cars are available for a person in his region, in his country for purchase? Or is service and post-warranty service available at all? It is quite difficult to give a specific answer, what car will be better for a person in his conditions, for his task. This video is just from the point of view of a mechanic on all the diversity that exists, is the goal to help you answer questions first of all. And then, having answered these questions, you will understand whether you need a machine with a horizontal shuttle or a vertical shuttle. What operations do you need? What will you use? Because, by and large, there are certain lines from manufacturers, the price tag can be very high, and the difference is simply that a few operations are added there, something is missing there. And that's it, the only difference is this. And again, you decide for yourself whether it makes sense for you to overpay or not. Separately, perhaps, I would like to draw attention to whether it is worth taking computer machines now or more reliable mechanics. Well, definitely, mechanics are more reliable, easier to repair, this is for sure. It is important for you to understand that if there are computer machines on sale now, then they also have both advantages and disadvantages. Unfortunately, in the budget segment, so to speak, there is extremely little choice. Or, again, returning to the question that if you buy a cheap computer machine and expect to sew a lot, often, and in general on a workshop scale, be prepared for the fact that it will not work for you for long. Why might it be worth considering computer sewing machines? There is a point regarding loops. In most cases, on conventional mechanics, at best, a classic rectangular loop, semi-automatic or automatic. If you need an eyelet loop, you need some other specific embroidery and so on conventional mechanics you will definitely not get this, this is already a computer machine. Moreover, if you need some kind of hybrid machine with an embroidery function, there is now a computer one. There it is definitely a computer one. And again, there is a certain gradation among computer ones too. Initial, middle, premium segment, respectively, different build quality and so on. If this topic is interesting, write in the comments, then I will try to shoot the second part of the video separately about computer ones, about hybrid ones. Now the main goal is about mechanics, here. What else would I like to mention separately? This is the engine power. Naturally, the more powerful the engine installed on the machine, the better it is for you. But, unfortunately, the manufacturer's practice shows that now you can choose almost a unit of machines from what is available with a powerful engine. Practically, if you come across a machine with an engine diameter of watts, it will be great. Often it is 70 watts, 60, sometimes there are 50, 40 watts. Yes, on such machines. And it is also important for you to understand that such machines with a not-so-powerful engine, if you sew thick fabric, they simply will not pull. That is, a very difficult puncture will be, you will help with your hands, you simply risk that the engine may burn out at a certain moment. If we summarize everything that you heard, firstly, it is important for you to decide what you will sew. Secondly, it is important for you to understand that there is no universal answer to your question. No one will tell you, buy this machine or that machine. Why? Machines for different tasks on different fabrics. It is important for you to understand why you are doing this, that is, why you are buying, what amount you are counting on and depending on this. Can you recommend something? Well, like the most ideal option, having looked through, having read these recommendations, it is advisable for you to make some choice yourself. And then, when you have decided on something, when you write, let's say, help me choose this or this model, then it is easier to help you. Because, let's say, not all regions have a certain model. It is also no secret to you that there are certain models that are produced for a certain country, for a certain region. And you, maybe, for example, the LE22nd model, here it is, yes, it is cool, it is good, but the problem is that it was discontinued. You will not find it now. There were analogs, there, 394th, there, Janamine, but they are not there now. They simply do not exist. And here's the question, when you want to buy a new one, the problem is that it's either unavailable for purchase or discontinued. Or you have to choose something from what's available. And then a problem arises. What should you pay attention to? A bright, perhaps, moment. I also did reviews. Let's say, QU33 Janame and QU23. It seems that the letter is the same, the line is the same. But these are completely different models. It will also be interesting to look at, and I think you will understand what I'm talking about. In conclusion, what I would like to say, if you are still interested in the topic of computer machines, write in the comments. If I was wrong about something, you have a completely different point of view. Also write in the comments if the information that I shared, those moments that may be interesting to you. I will be grateful if you share this video. Because by answering these questions you will help yourself narrow down this boundary of choice. You will be able to see, well, in principle, what to pay attention to. Actually, that's all. May your equipment not break down. Well, I will try to answer your questions, if there are any.